Thank you for watching Darker Things, the series that brings you deep dives into history's most disturbing events, personalities, true crime, conspiracy theories. Greetings, Darker enthusiasts. I'm Duncan, your navigator through the chilly realms of the unknown. Darker Things. Today our focus shifts to a decades-old mystery that continues to baffle investigators. The disappearance of Johnny Gosch. Prepare yourselves for an intriguing twist, a paradox that adds an extra layer of mystery to this enigma. Picture this: the likely witness to Johnny's vanishing act is a silent observer, a four-legged friend named Gretchen. If only this loyal companion could speak, the secret she might reveal could break this case wide open. Yes, you heard that right. Our most compelling witness in this saga has no voice. The family dog, capable of articulating the events she may have witnessed, stands at the intersection of irony and mystery. Join me as we navigate the shadows of this perplexing case, where the last moments of Johnny Gosch are shrouded in the silent gaze of a canine companion. Imagine, Darker enthusiasts, if Gretchen could share the sights and sounds of that fateful day. The irony is palpable. A creature that cannot speak may hold the key to unraveling the truth. This is Darker Themes, and we are about to explore the peculiar dynamics of a case where the one who probably saw it all could only bark in silence. Let's uncover the layers of Johnny Gosch's disappearance and contemplate the mysteries that linger in the company of a now dead witness.
Thank you, Doug. I will take it from here. The haunting disappearance occurred on September 5th, 1982. Born on November 12th, 1969, Johnny was the cherished and only child of Noreen and her husband, John Gosch. However, after nearly 13 years of relishing a good life with their son, the Gosch couple faced every parent's worst nightmare. Johnny vanished under unexpected and unexplained circumstances while fulfilling his duties as a paperboy for the Des Moines Register, the daily morning newspaper of Des Moines, Iowa. On September 4th, the day before his disappearance, the then 12-year-old, light brown-haired, blue-eyed, 5 feet 7 inches tall, and weighing around 140 pounds, requested permission to handle his route alone. Despite Johnny typically having his dad, John, accompany him, he didn't do so on Sunday, September 5th. Instead, at 5:45 a.m., Johnny left his West Des Moines home before dawn, taking only the family's miniature Dachshund, Gretchen, with him. He was clad in a white sweatshirt with Kim's Academy printed on the back, warm-up pants, and blue rubber flip-flops. Johnny also brought a yellow paper bag and his bright red wagon for carrying the newspapers. Unfortunately, Johnny couldn't complete his deliveries, and around 7 a.m., Noreen received a call from a neighbor complaining about not receiving their newspaper. Concerned, John investigated and found Johnny's red wagon approximately 2 blocks away, filled with undelivered newspapers and accompanied by their pet dog. John rushed home to inform Noreen, and together they called the police, facing a terrifying nightmare Johnny was missing. Compounding their distress, a police policy dictated that Johnny couldn't be classified as a missing person until 72 hours had passed. It took approximately 45 minutes for the police to arrive and take Noreen's report. Initially, authorities suggested that Johnny had run away, a claim his parents vehemently contested. Subsequently, the police shifted their stance, proposing that Johnny had been kidnapped, yet they failed to establish a clear motive. In their quest to understand how their only son vanished without a trace, John and Noreen sought information from witnesses. Thankfully, some provided critical details. Fellow paperboys confirmed seeing Johnny at the paper drop on that unfortunate September morning. One witness, Mike, recounted that a man in a blue Ford Fairmount approached Johnny, asking for directions to 86th Street. Feeling uneasy, Johnny told a friend, "I've got my papers loaded in the wagon. I'm scared. I'm getting out of here. I'm gonna head home." As Johnny left, the car flicked its dome light 3 times, seemingly signaling to a tall man emerging from between 2 houses. This man followed Johnny along 42nd Street and Marquardt Lane, as witnessed by other paperboys who greeted Johnny from across the street. Unfortunately, that was the last verifiable sighting of Johnny. Around the same time, a man named P.J. Smith was stirred from his slumber by the loud slam of a car door. As he sat up in bed, his attention was drawn to a black silver car making an unlawful left turn, breezing through the stop sign. These incidents were not isolated, as another local resident also witnessed Johnny engaging in conversation with a stocky man in a blue two-toned Ford Fairmount with Nebraska plates. Unfortunately, the observer, peering from his bedroom window, couldn't discern the content of their discussion. Another witness, John Rossi, noted a peculiar interaction between Johnny and a man in a blue car. While Rossi scrutinized the license plate, the specific number eluded him. Undergoing hypnosis later, Rossi managed to recall some numbers and identified the plate as belonging to Warren County, Iowa. West Des Moines Police Lieutenant Jeff Miller, a rookie cop in '82, recounted the immediate and extensive efforts undertaken by the police. Despite summoning staff, troopers, detectives, reserves, and contacting other law enforcement agencies, a comprehensive door-to-door canvass in the neighborhood yielded no leads or eyewitness accounts related to Johnny's disappearance. For the Gosch couple, the most disheartening revelation came from Captain Bob, Rushing of the West Des Moines Police Department, stating that there was no crime scene, and it seemed as if Johnny had simply vanished into thin air. Frustratingly, the police investigation provided scant evidence and no arrests were made. The Gosch's collaboration with law enforcement proved futile, leading Noreen to embark on her own quest for answers, even after her divorce from John in 1993. Noreen's determination led her to involve the media, reaching out to local and national outlets. She enlisted private investigators Jim Rothstein, a retired New York City police detective, and Ted Gunderson, a retired chief of the Los Angeles FBI branch, to pursue leads overlooked by Des Moines law enforcement. Noreen uncovered shocking information that suggested Johnny had been kidnapped for use in a global pedophile and prostitution ring. Undeterred, she founded the Johnny Gosch Foundation a month after his disappearance and initiated a program called In Defense of Children. Noreen tirelessly toured the nation, making nearly 1,000 personal appearances with law enforcement, missing persons organizations, and those combating human trafficking to raise awareness about crimes involving children. The noise Noreen created generated awareness about Johnny's situation, and signs and clues started to surface in March of '83, 6 months after Johnny went missing. A woman reported being approached by a young boy in an Oklahoma convenience store parking lot screaming, "I'm Johnny Gosch. I've been kidnapped." Sadly, 2 men seized him and they vanished without a trace. Over the ensuing years, more evidence emerged. The Gosches received a dollar bill with a message, "I am alive," confirmed to be Johnny's handwriting by Noreen. In Denver, Colorado, the words "Johnny Gosch was here" were discovered, written in red nail polish on the restroom wall of a public eatery. Whether genuine occurrences or mere pranks, distinguishing between reality and jest proved challenging. Yet, in the depths of her heart, Noreen harbored an unwavering belief that her son remained alive. Her determination to unveil the silenced truth about his abduction fueled a relentless fight she vowed never to relinquish. In 1984, Noreen's tenacity bore fruit. The Johnny Gosch Bill, a legislative triumph she championed, was enshrined into Iowa law on July 1, 1984. This groundbreaking legislation mandated prompt police involvement whenever a child went missing and garnered adoption by 8 additional states. Undaunted, Noreen journeyed to Washington, D.C., fearlessly testifying before Congress during hearings on organized crime. Despite facing death threats for her incriminating testimony, her efforts culminated in the establishment of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Even President Ronald Reagan recognized her contribution, inviting her to the center's opening and dedication. While victorious in her crusade, Noreen's son remained missing. However, she achieved another significant triumph in 1984. Collaborating with Anderson and Erickson Dairy, a Des Moines-based dairy company, Noreen's advocacy gained momentum following the disappearance of another paperboy, 13-year-old Eugene Martin, on August 12, 1984. Although police investigations failed to establish a plausible link between the disappearances of Johnny and Eugene, despite similarities in the circumstances, Noreen, unwavering in her crusade, held a distinctive perspective. She asserted being forewarned by a private investigator months prior of the impending abduction. According to this information, the next kidnapping would occur during the second weekend of August '84, targeting a paperboy from the south side of Des Moines. In the aftermath of Eugene's disappearance, a relative of his employed at Anderson Erickson Dairy reached out to company president Jim Erickson. The request was for assistance in disseminating information about missing children, echoing the persistent efforts of Noreen in her tireless pursuit of justice. Mr. Gard Erickson readily agreed, and the company extended its support by featuring photos and brief biographies of the missing boys on the sides of the dairy's half-gallon milk cartons. This initiative succeeded in bringing the faces of Johnny and Eugene into thousands of homes across America, marking them as the second and third abducted children to have their stories publicized in this manner. Soon, Prairie Farms Dairy in Des Moines followed suit, and the effort expanded into a nationwide project. However, the Missing Children Milk Card campaign ran its course for only a few years before ending. Many parents voiced concerns, contending that the daily exposure to pictures of missing children was distressing for their own kids. Despite these earnest attempts to raise awareness about unresolved child abductions, another Des Moines boy, 13-year-old Mark Allen, went missing on March 29, 1986, under suspicious circumstances. Meanwhile, in Johnny Gosch's case, his mother's relentless efforts to find him persisted, yet time marched on with no sign of his whereabouts. In the ensuing years, Noreen encountered mind-boggling experiences that helped her piece together the puzzle and solidified her belief that her son's case was no ordinary abduction. In 1989, she met a young man named Paul Bonacci, age 21, who claimed involvement in a child prostitution ring that had abducted Johnny. Bonacci, also a victim of the sex ring in his youth, disclosed that the operation was orchestrated by Lawrence E. King Jr., a Republican Party activist and businessman serving as director of the Franklin Credit Union in Omaha, Nebraska. Shockingly, allegations implicated high-level U.S. politicians in this child prostitution ring, described as a cult involved in mutilation, sacrifice, and cannibalism of numerous children. Alleged abuse victims, interviewed later, claimed that children in foster care were flown to the U.S. East Coast for sexual abuse at lavish parties. Bonacci affirmed being one of them, and Noreen believed his accounts. Notably, Bonacci shared details about Johnny's scars and stammering that were not publicly known. However, the FBI and local police dismissed Bonacci as a credible witness, and they never interviewed him. Once again, Noreen found herself at odds with the authorities, but remained unwavering in her fight for justice. In 1997, Noreen had a surreal encounter she publicly disclosed during a 1999 trial on pedophile crime organizations in Nebraska. Describing it as a surreal experience in March 1997, Johnny visited his anguished mother 15 years after his disappearance. Noreen recounted being awakened at 2:30 a.m. by a knock at her Iowa apartment door. Two young men stood outside, and one identified himself as Johnny, now 27 years old, accompanied by an unidentified man. Johnny shared a brief account of the years since his abduction, revealing he had escaped the pedophile ring but lived in fear. He implored Noreen to help bring his abductors to justice. Despite the emotional reunion, Johnny left before daylight, refusing to disclose his whereabouts. Following this visit, Noreen sought the FBI's assistance to create a sketch of her now adult son. However, the lack of evidence supporting Noreen's narrative led authorities to doubt Johnny's survival. Noreen's poignant encounter was a reaffirmation that Johnny was abducted by a child sex ring, an investigation hampered by influential figures involved in the operation. In 2006, another potential lead surfaced. On September 1st, Noreen received an envelope on her doorstep containing disturbing photos of 3 bound and gagged boys, one resembling Johnny. Despite police skepticism, Noreen believed the photos were authentic and presented them to the West Des Moines Police Department. Initial confirmation from the police was followed by a retraction as a Florida law enforcement officer identified the boys in the pictures, asserting they willingly posed for them in the 1970s. Regardless, Noreen maintained her belief that the boy in the photo was Johnny, subjected to abuse for the satisfaction of pedophiles. Police continued to insist otherwise. Despite differing opinions on Johnny's case, which remains one of the most shocking child abductions in recent history, Noreen remains dedicated to finding her son's abductors and raising awareness about child kidnapping and human trafficking. She acknowledges the positive impact on awareness, but laments the lack of closure. Police doubt Johnny's survival and anticipate a breakthrough only when his remains are found. As of 2019, Johnny Gosch's case is considered functionally cold, with no significant leads. He remains listed as a missing person, keeping the case open. Johnny, now 51 years old, might be out there, awaiting the justice long overdue.
Thank you for watching today. I hope you found this story intriguing. Remember to subscribe and join us next week for another episode filled with scary, strange, and mysterious stories. As always, this is your host, Duncan, reminding you that once you enter the dark, you may never be the same.